America's national parks are some of our greatest treasures. They're places of breathtaking beauty and wild serenity, where millions of us go each year looking for peace and adventure. These are vast landscapes of granite cliffs, ancient forests, and sprawling deserts that promise a genuine escape from the noise of the modern world. But for some, that serene beauty hides a dark secret. The same isolation that offers solitude can also provide the perfect cover for a crime, and the wild elements that inspire awe can erase every single trace of what happened. For decades, the double murder of 2 women in Shenandoah National Park was maybe the most infamous cold case on federal land. But in 2024, after 28 years, the FBI announced a DNA match, finally putting a name to the man responsible. It was a powerful reminder that even the coldest cases can one day be solved. But for too many other families, the wait for answers goes on. Today, we're exploring 5 chilling cases of people who went into a US national park and never came out alive. The National Park Service looks after more than 400 sites, covering over 85 million acres of land. Every year, these parks see their share of tragedy. The vast majority of deaths are heartbreaking accidents, falls, drownings, or sudden medical events. But a small, terrifying number are different. They're the cases where the evidence just doesn't add up, where a person vanishes without a trace, or where a body is found, but the story of how it got there remains a complete mystery. And solving a crime in the wilderness? That's a whole different challenge. Remote locations mean it can take a long time for investigators to arrive, and by the time they do, wind, rain, and animals may have already contaminated or destroyed the crime scene. These challenges create mysteries that can last for decades, becoming whispered legends among park staff and locals. These are 5 of those stories. In the summer of 1981, Yosemite National Park was buzzing with visitors. Among them was 14-year-old Stacey Ann Arras from Saratoga, California. On July 17th, she was on a horseback trip with her father and a small group trekking deep into the park's high country. The group set up for the night at the Sunrise High Sierra Camp, a set of cabins perched at over 9,000 feet. After settling in, Stacey, a keen photographer, wanted to walk to a nearby lake to take some pictures. She changed her clothes, grabbed her camera, and asked her father to come along, but he declined. An older man from their group, who was 77, decided to go with her. The rest of the group watched from the cabins as Stacey and the man walked down the short trail. They saw the man sit down on a rock to rest, while Stacey kept going. She walked a little further, stepped behind a row of trees, and was gone. It was the last time anyone ever saw her. When she didn't reappear after a few minutes, concern turned into alarm. The group started searching, calling her name, but only silence answered back. As night fell, panic set in. What started with her frantic father soon exploded into a massive official search. For 11 days, over 100 people, including professional rescue teams, K9 units and climbers, scoured the rugged landscape. A helicopter spent over 40 hours in the air, its blades beating against the thin mountain air, searching for any sign of the girl. They found nothing, not a footprint, not a piece of her clothing, not her camera. While some accounts claim her camera's lens cap was found, the park superintendent at the time was adamant that not a single clue was ever discovered. It was as if the ground had just swallowed her whole. So, what happened? Did she get lost? Unlikely in an area that was so thoroughly searched, attacked by an animal. Again, the complete lack of any physical evidence makes that improbable. Could she have been abducted? It's a terrifying thought. How could someone snatch a teenager in broad daylight within sight of her group and leave absolutely zero trace? The baffling disappearances in this part of Yosemite have led some to nickname it the Bermuda Triangle of Yosemite, and Stacey's case is the most haunting of them all. In August of 1958, 10-year-old Bobby Bizup was at Camp St. Malo, a Catholic summer camp right on the edge of Rocky Mountain National Park. One evening, the camp director claimed that Bobby, who was deaf, didn't come back with the other boys from a fishing trip. A search began that night. Within days, it grew to hundreds of people, with bloodhounds and aircraft combing the dense woods for any sign of the boy. They found nothing, and eventually the massive search was called off. For nearly a year, Bobby's fate was a total unknown. Then, in July 1959, hikers from the very same camp were climbing Mount Meeker. There, they stumbled on a bone and a piece of clothing. A wider search of the area uncovered more of Bobby's remains. The location was baffling. It was an area that had supposedly been searched top to bottom the year before. At the time, authorities concluded Bobby had probably died from exhaustion and exposure, and the case was closed without much of an investigation. For decades, that was the story, a tragic accident, but questions always lingered. How did so many searchers miss him? And was it really an accident? The case was mostly forgotten until 2021, when a shocking new lead emerged. It was revealed that a human skull, believed to be Bobby's, had been in the private possession of a Denver area family for decades. The man who turned it in said it belonged to his father, who was a close friend of the priest running the camp when Bobby vanished. This discovery pushed the National Park Service to officially open a cold case investigation. After more than 60 years, the question wasn't just what happened to Bobby, but whether he was a victim of foul play. The cause and circumstances of his death have never been established, making it the oldest cold case on the National Park Service's official list. June 14th, 1969 was Father's Day weekend, and the Martin family was camping in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. 6-year-old Dennis Martin, his brother, his father and his grandfather were all hiking in an open, grassy area called Spence Field. As the adults sat and talked, the kids decided to play a game of hide and seek to surprise them. Dennis, wearing a bright red t-shirt, decided to circle around to stage the perfect prank. His father watched him walk off behind a nearby bush. It was the last time he ever saw his son. After about 5 minutes, his dad started calling for him. Confusion quickly turned to dread. The family began a frantic search. By that evening, park rangers were on the scene, but their efforts were immediately hit by a torrential downpour that washed away any tracks and turned small streams into raging rivers. What happened next was the largest search and rescue operation in the park's history. Over the next 2 weeks, more than 1,400 people, including National Guardsmen and even Green Berets, logged over 13,000 hours searching 56 square miles of unforgiving terrain. They found nothing. No red shirt, no shoes, not a single trace of Dennis Martin. The complete lack of evidence is the most baffling part. How does a 6-year-old boy completely disappear from an open field in just minutes? One of the most talked about theories comes from another family hiking miles away that same day. They reported hearing a sickening scream and moments later seeing a rough-looking man moving quickly through the woods, carrying something on his shoulder. But the FBI could never definitively link the sighting to Dennis's disappearance, questioning if anyone could have covered that much rough ground that quickly. Other theories suggest an animal attack or that he fell into a swollen stream, but wouldn't those scenarios have left some kind of evidence behind? For over 50 years, what happened to Dennis Martin has remained one of the park's most profound and heartbreaking mysteries. On April 13, 2005, a visitor to Hawaii Volcanoes National Park made a grim discovery. About 100 yards off the highway, near the park's southern edge, lay the body of a man. He was identified as 44-year-old Armand B. Johnson, a well-liked local radio host and massage therapist. The scene was chillingly simple. Armand was found wearing a tank top, shorts and slippers. He had been killed by a single gunshot to the back of his neck. This wasn't a robbery or a random act of violence. This was an execution. Evidence suggested the murder happened right where he was found. The killer hadn't even tried to hide him. But as clear as the how was, the why was a total mystery. Who would want Armand Johnson dead? His friends were flawed. By all accounts, he was a beloved member of the community, known for his generous spirit. As one friend put it, everybody loved him. Investigators were left with almost nothing to go on. There was no clear motive. Johnson's old, beat-up car was gone and has never been found. Some friends wondered if his recreational drug use might have put him in a dangerous situation, but even they felt it didn't explain the cold, execution-style nature of his murder. The case went cold almost immediately. Despite clear evidence of a homicide, there were no suspects and no answers. The FBI and the National Park Service have an active cold case file and are offering a $10,000 reward. An FBI special agent on the case said, "We are hoping that the passage of time may embolden a witness to come forward. But for now, the question of who killed Armand Johnson in the stark volcanic landscape of a national park remains completely unanswered." Of all the mysteries held within our national parks, none is more unsettling than when one of their own disappears. Paul Fugate was a 41-year-old park ranger at Chiricahua National Monument in Arizona. On January 13, 1980, he was the only ranger on duty. Around 2 p.m, he told a co-worker he was heading out for a quick hike on a nature trail. He left his radio behind, told her to close up the visitor centre if he wasn't back by 4:30, and walked out of the building in his official Park Service uniform. He was never seen again. When he didn't return, a massive search of the monument's 12,000 rugged acres began. Searchers on foot, with dogs, and in helicopters scoured the wonderland of rocks, but found no sign of the missing ranger. From the start, investigators suspected foul play. Did he stumble upon a drug deal in the remote borderland park? That theory got a boost when another park employee came forward with a disturbing story. He claimed he saw Fugate later that afternoon in a pickup truck slumped between two men as it sped away from the monument. Under hypnosis, the witness recalled that Fugate looked sad and dejected. In a bizarre and almost cruel twist, the National Park Service officially fired Paul Fugate a year after he vanished for abandoning his post. For years, his wife was denied his benefits. It wasn't until 1986 that the agency finally re-examined the case and declared him deceased. Then, in 2018, nearly 40 years after he disappeared, the NPS announced that new information had prompted them to renew the investigation, and they tripled the reward to $60,000. What that new information is remains a closely guarded secret. Paul Fugate is still the only National Park Service ranger to have ever gone missing in the line of duty and never been found. His disappearance is a chilling reminder that even the people tasked with protecting these wild places aren't immune to the secrets they keep. From the high peaks of the Sierra Nevada to the volcanic fields of Hawaii, our national parks preserve the raw, untamed beauty of this continent. They are places of wonder, but they're also places where the line between civilization and the wild is dangerously thin. The stories of Stacey Arras, Bobby Bizup, Dennis Martin, Armand Johnson and Paul Fugate are just a few of the dozens of cold cases that haunt the National Park Service. For the families of the missing and the murdered, these beautiful landscapes represent not peace, but an unending mystery. And for the investigators still searching for answers, there remains a solemn duty, a hope that one day these dark secrets will finally be brought into the light. With cases like these, public awareness can be the one thing that finally leads to a breakthrough. If you have any information on these or any other cold case, please contact the National Park Service or the FBI. And if you found these stories as compelling as we do, subscribe for more explorations into unsolved mysteries. Let us know in the comments if there's a case you think deserves more attention. Thanks for watching.